And hello people, we are live from Eglinton and Islington. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. And we are going to walk around Etobicoke a little bit. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And go Jays go, right? Thank you all that has joined so far. Please hit that thumbs up button as you're coming in. And subscribe if you are new. And I'm seeing we have Jim, Gabriella, Jazz, Juanita, Alex, and everyone that is watching. Welcome in. Craig O'Connor is here, Sebastian. Welcome, welcome. Hope everyone is doing absolutely amazing this Monday. Happy long weekend to people in the US. Happy Columbus Day and Indigenous Day. And of course, happy Canadian Thanksgiving. And I believe we are all set to go. So let's get started on this walk, shall we? Like I said, we're starting at Eglinton Avenue West, here in the West End of the city, specifically by Islington Avenue. And we are going to take a tour of the area. We're gonna eventually go down to Bloor Street, I believe, down Jane Street down to Jane Station, and then we'll take Bloor Street back west. And so we're gonna set off going eastbound on Eglinton Avenue West. As it stands right now, the Jays have to catch up there to Seattle as they took a lead yesterday. 1-0 Seattle. But I've been watching the score every now and then, and so far they're doing all right. Craig O'Connor lives in the area. Pretty nice. I do like how Eglinton becomes this west outside of the downtown core. I think my phone is a little bit crooked. This should do for now. But our next big street coming up is Royal York. Hey Zach, the Ontario Transit fan, welcome in from Guelph. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thanks for joining us on this relaxing evening stroll on Thanksgiving Monday. This is the end of a long weekend here in Canada and the US. Of course, the US Thanksgiving is to come later in November. This year it'll be on a Thursday. But for us it is Turkey Day today. I think by now we should be seeing some changes in colors on trees. More and more leaves are falling down. And what you will notice right away is that there are no skyscrapers in Etobicoke. All of that city stuff is squarely reserved for the downtown core. And also, while I remember, I did give out some of those memberships every creator has every month. So welcome to all 5 new members: Aiden Thompson, Bob Babam, City Emerald, John Nicholson, and Mr. Gamer. Welcome to membership. Jim is watching the game and lurking here so you can shoot updates. Currently tied at 3 in the bottom of the third. Yes, I did see the Jays catching up quite rapidly. So that is all great. Thanks for the updates. I think the Jays maybe were a little cocky last night, but they should have this game in the bag, and the next one as well, and the one after that. This is Eden Valley we're coming up on, and Russell Street on the left. And unlike most streams, I don't have any drink in my hand from the very start, so I am able to check all the chats right away, which is amazing. And I know there's a lot of people that are live at the moment, so extra thanks for all that did decide to come into this stream. Or maybe some people are watching multiple streams at once. That's also great dedication. And I could have titled this stream Jays themed, I think. But Thanksgiving kind of trumps that, as it is a holiday. What I certainly like about the stretch of Eglinton is how quiet it gets without any cars. Because even without cars in downtown, there's always something going on. But here it's really nothing except parks and the occasional high-rise. Although there are a lot of flies in the air. It's a lot of stuff flying around. And for those wondering, it is currently 15 degrees Celsius. As it gets a little bit chillier into the night, but not by much. We're certainly getting into that fall weather, and I think rain is imminent in the future. You can see a little more taller buildings as we approach Royal York and go beyond it. We will also see a big wooded, or not wooded, sort of park area in between Scarlet and Jane. But as we walk between Royal York and Scarlet, we'll have some buildings. And as we go south towards Bloor Street, of course on Jane it's going to be pretty built up. And possibly others walking around on the sidewalk. There's some construction on the left side. Happy Thanksgiving, Mdor 2005. Welcome in. Thanks for coming in. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. And family. We're now close to Royal York and Eglinton. If we were to go down Royal York, down to Dundas, there's an interesting bridge there that kind of takes Dundas over top of Royal York instead of stopping at an intersection. It allows cars to keep going all the while exiting and entering Dundas and Royal York. But it does create a little bit of a problem for pedestrians because there's a lot of going around, and also for bus routes, as it's not an easy transfer and not immediately apparent where to go. I'm not gonna go down Royal York today, but there's a view. And we're gonna keep going on Eglinton, right east to Jane Street. And by the time we are at Bloor, it should be well and dark. So this is somewhat of a nice stream. There are those high rises I was mentioning. Now, we are past Royal York, so we're headed towards Scarlet Road. There's nothing really much on Scarlet and Eglinton. If you took Scarlet Road south or north, there's a couple shops on Scarlet. But once again, for the most part, it's mostly just parks and residential. But at the intersection of Jane and Eglinton, there's nothing much, but on the rest of Jane, it is pretty lively. We'll be passing St. Clair, the rail tracks, as well as Dundas on our way down to Bloor Street. Now we could also shoot down to Weston Road along Eglinton. But even though it's a pretty short walk, Weston Road does kind of zigzag across the city a little bit. So I'd prefer to just stick to Jane, as it's pretty straightforward. And also, if we do stick to Jane, that means we may find coffee along the way, or some nice hot tea to keep us warm. Hello, bestest timer born, welcome in. Happy Thanksgiving. We have a chat full of moderators. Isn't that nice? So these buildings are still under construction. But that's promised to be a nice development once it's finished. Once we're past Scarlet, we'll be passing over a little creek. And then we may be able to spot some golf courses, although I don't really remember if it's that visible. But the creek I referred to is, of course, Humber River, which is not really a creek, as it is a river, but it's a little smaller, so. There's a nice park to our left, to our right. That's well suited for a round of frisbee. Let me see if I can turn something off here. And there we go. That is should be better. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Gabriella. The colors are finally coming through. It's about time they did, since we're closing in on about the middle of October here. There's a Scarlet Heights retirement residence. I must admit, Eglinton Avenue West is a very good stretch to have all the retirement residences, as we do here in the Etobicoke. It is nice and wide, lots of space, lots of parks to have as backyards. But I have seen some other retirement spots along Yonge Street, a little north of Toronto, more in the Markham or Richmond Hill area, that I suppose have their own benefits as well, but they are past Finch, so not a good connection to the subway. And in our defense, here in Etobicoke, most of the retirement residences have their own shuttles, so you don't need to rely on public transit to get into downtown. Speaking of colors, there's a nice bright red tree right above us. We're walking east along Eglinton, Gabriella. This is Eglinton Avenue West, right by my area. This ain't downtown Toronto for you. So very boring by all the YouTube people standards. I know for a fact Johnny Strides would never ever go out here if he didn't have to pick up his rental cars. And even then, the rental car place is down by Bloor, obviously close to the subway. But hey, there's a benefit. Even though this video might not get all the views, it'll stay copyright free. And we do get a nice bridge over top of Eglinton here. So we can take an elevated view over top of the nothingness that is Etobicoke. Which I will certainly take advantage of before continuing on. Well, while you might think the bridge leads somewhere, Unfortunately for now, we'll have to stay on the south side of Eglinton because there's a lot of construction here, and you might be able to see the sidewalk is all closed off on the other side. But that's all right, we can still look out over top of here. And what a gorgeous view this is. You can see some colors from that sunset and no buildings to block your view. Even though looking out from rooftops downtown is nice, this is just as so. I agree, Jim. It is really good to venture out sometimes, right? And not just to other cities. It's good to venture within your own city as well, as Toronto is very big. All right, one last look from this side, and we shall keep going. Like I mentioned, on the south side of Eglinton. And although this bridge has been here forever, you can notice the railings are new. And they have, in general, overdone all of this concrete here. It's nice and renewed. Which I don't necessarily understand why, considering there is no LRT stops along this way. The LRT goes along Eglinton, but only so far. It eventually does turn away in order to reach Mississauga. I believe this stop here is actually the last one. After this stop at Scarlet, the nice old LRT turns off. Which is all right. It does have to stop around Bloor anyway, before it keeps going. And the light coming up is actually Scarlet. As you can see, there is absolutely nothing out here. The closest coffee place is a gas station that houses a Tim Hortons inside. We're gonna cross over Scarlet and keep going east towards Jane. And then we're gonna turn onto Jane and go south to Bloor. And then take Bloor back west. And that'll be pretty much that for this Thanksgiving live stream. And it's off to late dinner. There's a black squirrel. We see a lot of gray squirrels out here, actually. More gray squirrels than black ones. In downtown, it seems to be more of the latter. There's a fire truck. Very nice. No sirens just yet. Although I suspect that might change once we get onto Jane and close in on Bloor. Once again, a lot of high-rises along Eglinton, but no skyscrapers, anything close of that sort. That'll remain true until we run into Bloor, as Bloor has a lot of new developments rising up along its stretch. Even out here in the Etobicoke, Kipling Station is a big example of that, as it's a big transit hub connecting Mississauga Transit and the TTC, as well as GO connections, and of course all the rail lines run through there. What is also appealing about going out this west is the bike lanes are not in danger of anything. They are well off to the side here on the road. And when they are on the road, they're well protected with some of those concrete barriers you'll see up ahead. Here we are at Scarlet. You want to see where the LRT ends? You can check these pillars here. And the pillars off to the left signify where the tracks will lay before they go underground, and also before they turn off of Eglinton. We are now passing over Humber River, of course. There's that view. Notice how there's still a lot of green on the trees there. The river is going to keep that alive longer by its banks, compared to all the other trees. Yeah, it's the Humber River, Jim. Still a little creek out here. And now to the right side, I wasn't sure if we're gonna be able to see, but it seems up ahead, maybe a little bit, but all the putting greens. There's a golf course to the right. If we go north along the river, that seems to be the trend. A whole bunch of golf courses. It is amazing, isn't it, Jim? How much more there is to learn within one city if you just venture far enough. Speaking of venturing, you guys can be rest assured that once the Eglinton LRT opens up, even the first part of it, I'm not talking about this extension here, when the first part of it opens up, I'll be completing a full-length video of riding the train. And of course, when it opens up to my area, here on Islington and Kipling Wise, all the way to Renforth and Mississauga, that will be a separate video as well. And of course, since the Finch LRT up on Finch Avenue is almost ready to open, and my college is at one of the terminal stations there, that video will be an easy one to make. but very fun at that. I'll be able to start the video right inside my college and then make the experience of how it is to travel to Line 1 out from Etobicoke. All those buses that run along the streets are nice and all, but they are way too packed with students all the time. Eglinton, Wilson, the 401, Finch and Steeles. They are all way too busy. As I look towards Emmett Avenue on the left. There's a communication tower up there. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the tallest tower in the Etobicoke period. But unfortunately, I do know there's some pretty tall buildings under construction at Kipling and Bloor. We'll be seeing those later on today. And what's that light coming up? Well, that is Jane Street. Is it not? We'll be making our first turn over there. One of very little turns as we head south towards Bloor and Jane Station. Once again, we'll pass by St. Clair and Dundas on the way there. There's a cyber garbage truck vehicle wrapped in black, which does not make it any more appealing, in my opinion. And there's a scooter taking full advantage of that very nice bike lane. Two-way bike lane, might I add, on one side of the street, which is a luxury that apparently downtown Toronto will not have, like ever. A separated / protected bike lane. If you look just up the hill, keeping going on Eglinton, you'll see Weston Road. And there's a little shops up there. And there's going to be the end point of the first section of the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. But we're not going to go there today. There's a 32 Eglinton West bus that'll head along Eglinton all the way to Eglinton Station on the east end of Line 1. And we are now walking south on Jane Street. Thank you, Juanita, for the reminder. Please do hit that thumbs up. If you're just coming in, and now as we start our trek to Bloor Street, you'll notice how quickly it gets dark in October. What you're not going to notice on camera is all of the flies in the air, which are quite annoying. I guess the upside of going live out here is that I'm guaranteed to have no interruption in the form of snipes, as literally nobody, unless they live here, will be willing to go out just to say hello. Hello, Brett Mallon. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for popping in. There goes a 935. Jane bus to Jane Station. And there goes a regular 35B to Jane Station. And there goes another 935 express bus to Jane Station. There's a laundromat on the other side. Very small plaza. Nothing to eat or drink. Now I still don't have a Be Right Back screen for those who were following. But I don't anticipate having to use a Be Right Back screen today. So that's good. But I will have one for next weekend. That's copyright free. And I think I see a Food Basics that will be coming up on the left side in a little bit, just before Black Creek. Which is another creek, but much, much smaller than the Humber River. And I guess if we really wanted to, I could turn onto St. Clair / Dundas to get over to the Stockyards area. There's a Starbucks there. But we should not do that. Hello, Liam. Happy Thanksgiving, Liam. Coming in to inform us that the Jays are losing. Oh, that's no good. They lost yesterday. And if they lose today, it's not a good look. Hey, Liam with the $6.99 boop. Thank you, Liam. Epic Nation, thank you so much. If I had planned a coffee stop, that would have worked perfectly. No, I shouldn't have. Anyways, happy Thanksgiving, Liam. Thank you. Indeed, Juanita. Awesome support. Boop, says Alex. 6'3". It does not look good, Jim. Hopefully they can still make a comeback, at least make a tie. There's a Tim Hortons on the left. With that Food Basics tucked away somewhere. There's a 935 Express heading north. That's about the millionth express bus we've seen along Jane, as it seems. Oh, very cool, Liam. Your dad is watching downstairs, and you're watching upstairs. If you pay for all the bandwidth, you might as well use all the bandwidth, right? There's also a pizza beside Food Basics there. And we could take a trail down here. This is Smith Park. Zero ball, 2 strike, 0 out, says Liam. Well, the game isn't over until it's over. We're not on Eglinton anymore, Liam. We're on Jane Street now. And we're certainly not going to Castlewood. But do thanks for the heads up. There's a hazard there. Here's a look back towards where we come from. It's a pretty hilly area on this side of Jane and Eglinton. So we're certainly getting some exercise in. There's yet another 935 express bus. This one, a older model. Seven three says Jim. That does seem appropriate, Jim. Making a picture change. Well, it seems they're always a little bit disappointing when it matters. But I guess they did get to the ALCS as a series overall, so that's good on them. They do have to make it through now. And we are slowly making our way through to St. Clair. Which will be followed by Dundas in short following. And I should plug in my phone in a little bit here, as it's getting a little bit low. Hey, West Coast Walker. Happy Thanksgiving to you and family. Thanks for stopping by. And I shall take this brief pause and get my charging all set up here. Plug in my power bank. And then plug in my phone. If it'll want to plug in at all. Oh my god. This thing is fighting for its damn life. As if I'm not trying to make it better by charging it. Anywho, we are back on the way. There's our little break from the city here at Marie Baldwin Park. We got that nice communication tower view, or power lines, I guess. I don't know why my phone keeps going all wonky. That should look better a little bit. This is Florence Crescent. And I can see the lights of St. Clair up ahead a little bit. We have this intersection that is split diagonally, making it a little hard to follow who goes when, as it's a three-phase intersection. This crossing right here goes on its own, but also along with that crossing. And then going along Jane Street is another phase. And then the cars crossing Jane is a third phase. So even though everyone might have a red signal, you can't just go here. You gotta really make sure nobody else has a green. Here we are approaching St. Clair Avenue. And then we're gonna pass right under the rail tracks, which is that bridge up ahead. And then right after the tracks is Dundas, one of the shortest blocks ever, I guess. The only thing dividing the two big streets here is a rail crossing. Like I did mention, we are fairly close to the Stockyards, which is a shopping center mall thingamajig they got at Keelan St. Clair, which would be to the left of here. But since I'm not headed downtown or anything, just in the area, we're gonna keep going south. But here's St. Clair Avenue West. Yeah, it is pretty wild, Jim. A little hard to keep track as a pedestrian of who is going. I can hear a siren, but unfortunately I can't see it. There's the vehicle. There's an ambulance response. Hopefully I muted it decently so that you guys weren't deafened by the sound. I tried to mute the worst of it. It was certainly pretty loud for myself. And hey, wouldn't you know it, we are at Dundas. That was quick. From St. Clair to Dundas. Imagine doing that trek in the downtown core. That would not take 1 minute. But yeah. From St. Clair to Dundas in a minute or under. Yeah, it doesn't bother me that much either, Jim. But for some viewers, it could be a little too piercing. There's a Pizza Nova across Dundas, and there's also a Toronto Public Library, which is of course closed for Thanksgiving. It was both closed yesterday and today. And there's a look east on Dundas towards downtown. And there's a look west on Dundas towards Mississauga and Bloor. We'll get to that. We'll be seeing Dundas again, where it connects with Bloor Street. This house is ready for Halloween, almost. The ghost isn't quite blown up yet, but the lights are nice and spooky. And now we're on this, even I call it, a little bit of a long stretch to Bloor. Since Dundas goes so high away, Bloor might seem a little further. But that's okay. Sometimes looking at residential is also good, right? It doesn't always have to be around shops, which we'll see on Bloor, and food spots. It is dark, unfortunately, which will hinder a little bit of the Halloween decor watching, as not everything is quite turned on yet. But going through the calmer neighborhoods is relaxing nonetheless. Oh, if it seems too dark, I could turn low light boost on, if you guys want to see the difference. Let me see if I can find it here. Which doesn't seem to do much, I guess. But the lighting's not quite even. It does look okay as it is, Jim, right? In some cases, low light boost might help dramatically. In other times, like right now, it won't seem to do much. It really depends on what quality we're streaming in. There's a 35 Jane to Jane station. Getting ads on my own video is diabolical, but that's how I get paid. So thanks to this big ass sign that's for motorists, the sidewalk is now a little bit hazardous. That sign's taking up most of the sidewalk space where only kids would be able to go underneath it. And you kind of have to squeeze out onto the very side of the road and go into the bike lane, where, as you'll see, cars also drive and park, because of course they do. Two not-in-service buses, one after another. Isn't that nice? On the left is a pretty nice look. This pavement is new. There was a bunch of construction in this area just a while ago. It was last year in the summer. And the storefronts do add a little bit of personality to that corner, but quite literally just the corner. Although, like I did mention, as we get closer to Bloor, we're gonna see more retail space. There's Faux VP, the sign pulsing between red and blue, sort of RGB. There's the Jane Animal Hospital. I like the colors on the front there. Sort of a pastel blue. And the asphalt on this area is not yet done. Ripped up, but not done. Now here's a nice wall. Some interesting fencing. It says Babylon, Baby Point. There's no bar attached or anything. a pretty nice studio full of artwork. I guess photographs rather, which is still artwork. Pretty cool. K&M Photo Productions. I see, Jim. The Jays are losing 9-3 now. Well, in that case, hopefully they win tomorrow. Otherwise, it's quite the postseason. Getting to the ALCS, but not much further. Couldn't even win the first game. All right, sounds good, Jim. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the Jays will come back from that tonight. Unfortunate as it is. Have a great rest of your Thanksgiving, long weekend, and we'll see you next week for sure. Okie dokie, I believe we are finally seeing bluer up ahead, and we'll be able to head back west towards Kipling. So we should see Jane Station somewhere soon. Right before turning onto Bloor. Indeed, I see the TTC sign right on the left side there. There's a big pizza sign right at the intersection. Can't miss it. There's a look towards Jane Station. Right, left, right, left. Right on the left. There are some of those buses in the bays or just waiting around. But we've made it to line 2 in a way. There's a fountain. And here is Bloor. We're gonna walk on the south side in order to avoid some scaffolding. So now we're westbound on Bloor Street West. Headed towards Kipling. There's an SO along with a Circle K and a Timmy's. And the next subway stop on this line is Old Mill. Here's a daycare boarding spa called Nushi. A nice front lawn at least. There's a sort of temporary looking bus loading thingy, just with a tacked on bike ramp, to where I'm not sure why the ramp even exists if the bus loading is on street level, not at sidewalk level. There's absolutely no reason for that to be elevated. And maybe they just wanted to draw attention in such a way. Both for pedestrians and bikes. Old Mill area, and Old Mill station is coming up just past the bridge there. It's actually going to be at the lights. And we are once again crossing over Humber River, where of course it's not visible at this point. It's way too dark for any of that. You really can't see anything, but there's the river. There's a look to the other side. Hey Alex, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for hopping on. On that side of the bridge is Old Mill Station. Which we're gonna cross over and check out. There it is. It's one of the only above ground stations having the privilege of being over the river, of course. And also one of the only stations where there are panes of glass where the trains end. Or where the train stops, I suppose. Really one of the cooler stations, I think. If they renovated it, it would be probably my second favorite subway station on the entire subway line here. I don't know if it can rival Highway 407 on line 1, but for line 2 at least, it is a staple. On the right we have the bus terminal for Old Mill. And the next subway stop is Royal York. Which there is a Starbucks at Royal York, but I'm not sure that it would be open at this hour. Not regularly, and especially not on Thanksgiving Day. So there really is no coffee for us. As per the sign, to our right is the Kingsway. Alex says you just got up, trying to wake up your brain still. I feel that. It must be just before 7 a.m. for you, eh? And here we are going up another hill. And it certainly feels chillier now. I'll check what my phone says. It says it's about 14 degrees. Well, it does feel like 14. Certainly less than 17 was when we started. And I see that my Superchat goal ended. Thank you to Liam for sending the sole Superchat this stream. And I guess Juanita's not here, but quick reminder to hit the thumbs up if you're watching and haven't yet. It does help out the channel, as well as send a subscribe my way if you're new. That'll be much appreciated. And I think we're almost done walking up this hill. Seems like we'll get a little bit of a rest up ahead. Do let me check something. If I go here, yes. That's right, no Starbucks is open at this time. It is, of course, Thanksgiving Day, so that was to be expected. Hey, I did something funky. It is 8 p.m. on a Monday. So my stream is now interfering with Grandpa Bob's stream. Sorry, Bob. Although I don't have that many viewers to be interfering with anyone at this point. But to the 11 people watching, thank you kindly. Hey, there's Juanita. Nice to see her still here. Indeed, 35 likes. Thanks for the update. There's a 66B, Prince Edward to Lakeshore. Here we go. We're still rocking on to Royal York. I'll have you know that the last time I've been to the Starbucks at Royal York, it was during I believe it was a very, very early morning stream in the winter time. It was snowing, and Sir Henry of Toronto Tech and Transit was very kind as to get me a coffee and a snack to get the morning started. I still do remember that stream. It was a fun one. There was lots of snow on the ground. Obviously, Phuket Walk was the first person in the chat, as it was like 5 a.m. or something crazy. Great streams in the winter. I'm looking forward to more of those. Hopefully we get lots of snow this time. There's a EggSmart location on the left. Pretty cool. LCBO on the right. There's also a Swiss Chalet. They have a special menu for Thanksgiving, and it's definitely worth checking it out. I don't remember if today is the last day or tomorrow. But the holiday menu is pretty nice there. Obviously, loads of turkey. Here's Jackson Avenue. Oh yes, back then I didn't have a secondary phone during my streams last winter. So Henry actually saved me by ordering ahead and not having any buffering happen due to me ordering. Isn't it just crazy that some people can constantly wake up at 4 a.m. like Henry does, and then go on to do 12-hour streams and stay out late and rinse and repeat the next day? It's a little bit insane. Hey, Phuket Walk. 40 baht. Thank you for the Thanksgiving wishes, Alex, and I don't know if you have Thanksgiving, but You as well. Thank you. I appreciate the support, Mr. Alex. And here we are at Royal York. Perfect timing, huh? Well, that flashing light is bound to cause some problems here. Holy. There's Tim Hortons. And well, Starbucks, while not exactly at Royal York, I guess, it's still fairly close. Actually, thankfully still open. It's not one of those 400 locations that they closed down. But on one corner is Tim Hortons. On the other corner is Starbucks, with a couple spots in the middle, but that's the one Henry sent me to and got coffee. Mobile ordering is so nice. Yeah, a little bit hot today, Alex. That's the kind of light that can cause epilepsy, even if you don't have it. Insane. Here's Montgomery Road. That guy was in a rush. Hey, Christopher, happy Thanksgiving. You're stuffed like a chicken. The big question is, are you stuffed with chicken or with turkey? Like a chicken. I'll be honest, the video off YouTube looks nicer than the video on my iPhone screen. And I don't know why that is. Peculiar. Well, I guess that's good. Here's an office of Tridel. That is the current developer for One Bloor West at Bloor Young. Very nice company. They have a very appealing portfolio of buildings, and they do really, really nice high rises. So I think it's good that they were the ones to take over the Bloor Tower. I'm sure they'll make good work of it. There's yet another creek that we're passing over, which I cannot show you as it's too dark. Hey, I can hear the subway rolling by. What an unmistakable sound that is. And we're getting close to Islington. Now, we did start at Islington and Eglinton, so we are back to the same street we started on, just much more south of there. There's the Bull Pub and Grill here on Bloor Street. Looks like Grandpa Bob is live. Very nice. There's a A&W sign right by the Black Angus Steakhouse. There's yet another pizza. And on our right is Bloor Islington Place. There's a Good Life Fitness. And also the grocery store. Urban Fresh, I believe. Yes. Urban Fresh by Sobeys. And there you can see Islington Station. This is the second last subway stop on line 2, westbound. Still majorly under construction. Well, that's totally possible, Alex. A lot of things and mostly change with time, so it is believable that Pizza was also good and at some point in time. There's that one single bus bay that's open as they renovate the rest of the station. And they have been renovating the rest of the station for a couple years at least. Here's what you could easily do without paying a fare. Catch a bus. Or catch the subway. There's literally a massive opening which nobody ever patrols. Literally just slide right in. It's a little harder at Kipling Station where we're headed. But easy peasy here. And line 2 subway will be your gateway to downtown Toronto. You can catch line 1 from there and go anywhere you like, basically. There's a 149 And there's the parking lot for Kipling Station. It is free on weekends, paid during the week. Like most TTC lots outside of the downtown core. Once we go under and past the bridge, we'll see a Toronto police station on the left side, which makes it no surprise there's 2 cop cars coming right there. What might surprise you is even with a station right there, people still tend to do stupid shit right under their noses. And what's even crazier, some of those folk won't get caught either. Perfect timing for a subway train to pass, as we're now squarely under the rail tracks, both for, at this point, the GO trains and the subway trains. And yes, the ceiling is as low as it seems on camera. This subway bridge is a little taller. Now, what we're coming up on might seem a little strange if you don't have a Google Maps open in front of you, but we'll be crossing Dundas Street West. If you want to have some fun, I do suggest opening up a map and looking at the intersection of Kipling, Bloor, and Dundas. It is quite amusing and interesting to figure out. Let me show you if I can. There's what I'm talking about. Right in the middle there. Bloor, Dundas, and Kipling. Quite the intersection. If you plan your walk correctly, you'll be able to cross Dundas 3 times going on Kipling Avenue and taking a slight detour on Bloor, which is quite interesting. But there's the Toronto Police Station, as aforementioned. So what I am gonna do is actually turn onto Dundas and take the serpent looking street detour thingamajig, whatever the heck it's called, take it down to Kipling, which of course then we're gonna take well, actually, now that I'm thinking, maybe we'll take a bus up Kipling. What do we think of that? I did have to skip out on the transit portion of my Saturday stream, so maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll take the bus from Kipling north. That way I save a little time getting home, and that way you guys also get a bus ride out of the stream. And of course, by you guys, I mean the fantastic 9 friends that are watching. Oh, no worries, Alex. Super chatting is not necessary. You're already a member, so you and Sign being members is plenty enough. But thank you still for the support. So now we're on Dundas, which, if you remember, we crossed back on Jane. And this is the intersection of Dundas and Bloor. There was a police car. And now we're on the weirdest part of Dundas in the entire city, no doubt. At least architecture-wise, I suppose Yonge and Dundas can get pretty weird, but I'm talking layout. They actually rebuilt this specific intersection at Kipling and Bloor and Dundas, I believe 3 times, or twice at least, that I remember. Once was pretty recently. Alex is asking if I'm sleeping early or late. I have school tomorrow, but it's at noon, so I suppose late. By the time I get home, I still do have to eat some food, so seeing if you should head out, I should head out. I don't know, man. Hey, look, it's a farm of crane things. It's a crane playground. How fun is that? Oh, trying to see if you should head out. Yeah. Well, don't rely on me, right? Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to super chat anything for the lack of a job. Maybe try asking Sign, Alex. But in the case you decide to go live, I will be there watching. Provided, of course, I just don't crumple once I get home from walking so much this weekend. I have combined 60,000 steps over the weekend. That's including Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So quite a big number of steps. And we'll see how many steps I'll gather today. I'll be looking at that before we get on the bus. So, you know, perhaps we'll have 70,000 for the extended long weekend. Ah, okay, Alex. Kind of like me right now, eh? No worries, I'll be there if you go live. But once again, it's your decision to make. Hey, I think we're at over 2 hours. Maybe we can reach 3 hours on the stream. It's 8:37, so I'm thinking if we finish around 9 p.m., we'll be good. Hey, see, Juanita's gonna be there too. So you got at least 2 viewers, Alex, sorted for. Or not viewers, chatters. But here we are at Kipling and Dundas. Bloor is just north of here. There's a look back at all the development stuff. Honestly, crazy. Hey, Jazz. Where did you come from? Hello, Jazz. Good to see you. Are you off work finally? Hopefully you'll get some well-needed rest during the upcoming week. You've been hiding. That's fair. It is pretty dark outside. It can get scary on Jane Street. Here's Viking Lane and St. Albans Road. Yeah, you get some rest, eh? That's good. Well, if you're sleepy, go to sleep. Ain't nobody holding you. Thanks for chatting. it's good to know that, you know, you're alive still. It's always important when viewers check in. You know, streamers not so much, but someone was confused. Someone was confused on the light cycle. Now you might be wondering why I'm walking up down Kipling if I said we're going to the bus bays. And for the bus bays, I will have to backtrack. But I wanted to check out the view of the tracks from up above. Outside, yes. All right, well, party hard. And happy early Thanksgiving to you. Your Thanksgiving is in a month. I just looked at all the best places and it's telling me I don't have internet. Peculiar.